Welcome. We have missed you guys. We've been off for just a little bit and we have some really fun people coming on. So we're really excited. But season 2, episode 3. And today we have Kristin Francis, who I've been following for a while. I know Christy has too. She is so phenomenal. And her amazing right-hand woman, Brandi Browning. And so we are going to be diving in and interviewing them. But first things first, I'm Linzee Soprani, the CEO of Soprani Consulting. We're the top recruiting and consulting firm in the country for all things real estate. And I'm here with my lovely co-host, Christy Belt-Grossman, CEO of Ops Boss Coaching, the ultimate resource for training and coaching for real estate ops bosses. Welcome to the Leader Equation. So Kristen and Brandi, you guys have been together for 18 months, which is awesome. And you guys are like a match made in heaven. At least so far, you believe that. So what we want to do is have you just briefly give us a brief explanation of who you guys are, where people can send referrals, some of that stuff, and then we'll kind of dive in with Christy.
Awesome. First of all, thank you for having us on your show. I mean, this is quite an honor. You guys are some badass boss moms, and I'm bow down to you. Thank you for giving us an hour to talk shop. So I'm Kristin Francis. I'm the CEO of the Kristin Francis team, which is a very cleverly named real estate team in the Northern Virginia, DC area. We are a team of boss moms and boss babes. We have 10 women working on our team, and Brandi is my right hand. And as you said, we've been together 18 months, but it feels like 5 years. Like it's been a long year this week. That's how long we've been together. So we would absolutely love referrals for real estate, all things real estate, including design build. We do some of that too. We have another hashtag Lady Builders. So anything along those lines, please send it our way. And Brandi, I think she should tell the story of how I found her. That's a fun one.
She will definitely do that. Brandi, really quickly, what did you do right before you came to work for Kristen?
So right before I worked for Kristen, I worked in retail locally here in the DC area. I am an active duty Army spouse, so used to moving quite a bit every 1 to 2 years. So never really had the opportunity to build a career. I worked in a lot of sales positions at all the previous duty stations that we'd been in. And when we got here, I needed to buy a house, and I just so happened to buy one from the Kristin Francis team.
So. You know what? I always tell people always ask Linzee and I that, like, where do I find my person? Like, that's the first place is your database.
Absolutely.
Right? I love that. I got recruited into the business from my loan officer when I applied for my loan to buy my first house. So same thing. Love it.
We're like, you turned in all the paperwork on time. We'll take you.
Exactly. Good. Well, let's dive into our quick fire so they can get a quick picture of you guys. So how many years in business for each of you? Kristen?
11.
And
11.
Brandi?
18 months.
18, and then 18 months together. Kristen, year 1, what was your profit margin? And this year, what do you expect your profit to be?
Year 1, I have absolutely no idea because I didn't have my ish together. So there's no way to measure that. And this year, over 40%.
Awesome. That's good. And how many people are on your team now?
9. I said 10, but it's going to be 10. No spoilers out there for the people that we're hiring. So it will be 10 shortly.
Stay tuned. That's great. Good. Okay. Book that impacted you the most.
I love this one. The KW Millionaire Real Estate Agent, that book. And also Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss.
That's a good one. Brandi.
I love Outliers by Matt.
Out.
Now we see the behavioral profiles in action right now. That was crazy for anybody watching. Okay, and then what about our final quick fire is superpower. Kristen, what is Brandi's superpower?
She has the ability she gets inside my head. She knows what I'm thinking before I know that I'm thinking it, and she's able to create a structure around that, which for me is magic.
Okay, I love that. I'm going to come back and ask you about that. Brandi, what's Kristen's superpower?
I'd say just like her hair, she is a chameleon. She just has a way of relating to people on all levels.
I love that. Awesome. So for those of you who are joining us for the Leader Equation for the first time, we're chatting with owners, founders, CEOs, entrepreneurs, and their shotgun leaders inside and outside real estate. Today will be inside real estate, about what adds to the leadership formula, what subtracts, what divides, and most importantly, how you can multiply your results with the right partner. So Lindsay, let's dive into the meat.
Yeah, so you guys were working together to find a house. And so Kristen, what was like, hey, I got to ask her if she'll go into real estate? What made you do that?
I was following her on Facebook. So we became Facebook friends. I actually had one of my buyer agents help her find a house, though I was part of it. So we didn't quite have a relationship yet, or not a robust one. And so I was following her on Facebook, and she was posting things. She was working at Ann Taylor Loft, and the girlfriend was so in it to win it in this career, which, first of all, anyone who can work in retail, more power to you. I did it once, I can't do it. Yeah. And she posted with so much enthusiasm and integrity on her page. I thought, anyone who can be that excited about folding clothes is an amazing employee. And so one day she posted on her page and she said, that's it, I quit. Like, these people don't appreciate me, I'm out. And I messaged her and I said, please call me right now. And that was it.
Did you follow career visioning process, or did you just, like, what was your interview process?
We did.
Did we?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember.
She put me through the ringer. She's like, call me. And then it was the ringer.
And how did you feel, Brandi, how did you feel about that on the receiving side of the ringer? Like, was that a good thing or a bad thing?
It was actually nice. It was good because, like I said, you know, being kind of a nomad for, 19 years of my husband's career and just bouncing around job to job, it felt really good to make sure that I was going to start something that was a really good fit for me.
That's something that a lot of people get really worried about when they're trying to hire, is like, wait, you guys have bounced around a little bit. Like, what does that look like? Are you going to stay here? How did you guys navigate that conversation, or did you have it at all?
It feels like 10 years ago. I don't even remember. I have no idea. I just remember that she had all of the organizational skills I was looking for, because I was just looking for an assistant. And I said, she has math skills in organization and she can, like, be happy folding clothes. So all these jobs that I hate, she's going to love them based on what she loves at the loft.
I don't fold Kristen's clothes.
Not yet.
I feel like you have to have the board, right, to like do it.
To do it correctly, yes.
Oh.
I can't.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
So Brandi, when you were going through that process, what made you like, oh, Kristen's my person? Like, at what point was it in the interview process? Was it after you came to work with her? Was it after your mutiny on the bounty on your team? Like, at what point were you like, I really want to build something with Kristen?
I've always been really appreciative of how authentic Kristen is and how relatable she is. She meets you where you are. She's always wants to give opportunity to people, especially to military spouses, which of course I love on a personal level. But I love for the company too. So that really piqued my interest. And then just working alongside her, probably after about 6 months was when I realized we actually have quite a bit in common and this is working out really well.
That's awesome. Well, and Kristen, walk us through, so you bring her on the team, right? And you guys are gelling. She's, I'm guessing, picking up really fast on everything that has to happen. When did you know that you actually did have talent, or was there any questioning there?
No, there was never a moment, not in Brandi's performance. We had some things on our team culturally, like where I wasn't sure if Brandi wasn't telling me something, that she was like overwhelmed and not going to tell me or something like that. She's really sarcastic, which works out really well because so am I. She did pick up really, really quickly. And at the moments where there was something that needed to be done, and she just went and solved it. And she solved it the way that I would have solved it. She didn't wait for me. She didn't put it on me. She didn't doubt herself. She just said, I know what Kristen would do. And she went and she did it. And at that point, I just kind of stopped looking. And I said, okay, well, you do this and you do it really well. So you keep doing that. That works.
And I find that that's a really unusual situation when someone's in their first 6 months, for them to have the confidence. Where did that confidence come from, Brandi? Was that confidence that Kristen shared with you and somehow empowered you, or did you walk into the relationship with that confidence to be able to just solve things the way you thought she would instead of waiting for her?
I think in the beginning she was very good about being an open book and kind of I just learned really fast from her because she told me everything. And she's not just the highlight reel, you know, she's showing you like all the things she's trying to solve for, all the issues that are coming up. I was CC'd on all of her emails, so I, you know, had a bird's eye view of everything going on for her in the business. And then I was nervous at first, you know, kind of trying things on my own, nervous about doing things without checking with her first, but she's great with communication and just told me right away if it was something that she approved of or, you know, appreciated. So once I got that affirmation, that's really all I needed, I think.
Did you have any big mistakes? Like I solved something for her and it was like not really the way she would have done it, or did you always get it right?
I don't know if I've made big mistakes. I've made little mistakes. And I'm always the first to be like, I messed that up.
Yeah, and that's big. Ownership is like, ooh, I made a mistake, and she'll just bring it and say, you know, I did this, or I didn't know that this was a thing. You know, of course mistakes happen, but it's kind of a big deal for us to not be hitting people over the head when they make a mistake. It's okay, that happened. What do we do now, and how do we avoid it going forward? Like, shit happens. It's kind of a.
Kristen, you're a high D, right?
I'm a DI.
DI, yeah. You know, it's interesting because this conversation about the mistakes thing, I'm asking because I keep seeing it come up in coaching, and what I'm noticing is the Ds are able to, the D rainmakers like you have that approach. Okay, it happened, let's move on and fix it and go to the next thing. And the high Is, if they're an ID, struggle more because there's a little bit more of the ego involved in the mistakes. So I think
time for that. I think that's part of the magic on our team is that we like to say, like, there are no victims. If there's something that you don't like, then you're responsible to speak up and bring a solution. Here's the problem. Here's the solution. Brandi is always like, she's like, I'm here for it. And she'll come up with a solution. I think that's how she probably earned my trust so quickly, is she would find a problem and then solve it. And I think that's the key to a good hire.
I love that.
Yeah. Well, and so walk us through, I mean, let's just give them some background too. So you started in 2010, Kristen, and then you actually were a solo agent until 2017. So, I mean, in my world, you're a baby team still, right? Like, you guys have only been doing this for a couple of years. And so, you know, when you started going into that lane, were you like, holy moly, what did I get myself into?
So many times. Like, it hurts. Don't touch the fire.
Yeah.
So I was a dual career when I first started. Then I had some kids. Then I kind of waffled around a little bit. Then I said, you know, I'm really bored with this marketing stuff I was doing. I had climbed the corporate ladder, and my last job was with PBS television corporate. So I had been doing that, and I thought that was going to be my trajectory. But then I said, you know, I'm bored. I don't want to do consulting anymore. So I did the real estate thing. So I didn't really give real estate a full-time shot until I think my second kid. So 2015. And that's when I joined KW. I was already pretty successful as a solo agent who wasn't really trying so hard. I think it was just about 3 million when I walked in. And then my eyes were open to all the systems. So then I started saying, okay, I'm actually going to be a little bit more purposeful about this. And then sure enough, I was already successful in drowning in business by 2017. And so when I first started a team, I think I made the mistakes that everyone else makes. Like, just put the Band-Aid on it. Like, this makes sense. I'm an entrepreneur. I have 2 pieces. They put together. They fit just like that. It seems like it should be fine. And then you don't realize the consequences down the line. So I did that about 852 times. Until
she's an overachiever.
Yeah. Why fail once when you can do it repeatedly and differently?
Yeah.
so many ways you can screw up. Why pick just one?
Right. Well,
yeah, so I did it all.
I feel like that's something that I've been talking about. And I mean, I even like catch myself sometimes where I'm like, God, this hurts too much. Maybe I'll just go back to me and an admin. Like that might be easier, right? And it's not the answer, but like it's something, it's so crazy how like every time we're ripping that Band-Aid off again, we're like, oh God, maybe this was a mistake. But you guys are starting to grow something really, really fun. And like just take us through your numbers really quickly, because you just said the 3 million, but it's a big wow if you actually talk through what you're doing and what you've done.
Yeah, so walking into KW 2015 at 3 million, I think then I did 7, 15, 20, 35, and we've already done 42 with another 20 plus million in the
deal. It's a big deal. And you know, Brandi's been there with some of that, but prior to that, you had other admin too. So what did you learn from the other hires that you had that somebody could put in place now? Like what things were you like, I can't do that again?
Well, first of all, you should probably check somebody's references. It's a really great place to start. One of my superpowers, if I was a super villain, would be that I just believe the best in everyone and I want it to work. And you know, I'm like overly optimistic. And so I, in my mission to create opportunities for people, will constantly place them. And I don't think through the full consequences. And this is before career visioning as well. Mm-hmm. So in screwing up 60 ways from Wednesday, it was largely because of that. It made good sense. And when I think I started to get my ish together in when did you start? 2018?
Yeah. 2019.
Okay, so 2018, November of 2018 is when I took career visioning and I really started to get it together. But before then, I was very entrepreneurial, trying to put the pieces together. And now I've forgotten the question I was supposed to be answering.
Well, I love that you brought up about mistakes that you didn't call references, and we all laughed like, oh, that's such a no-brainer, but we hear that all the time. I literally have a coaching client that I'm coaching that said, oh, I got this great application from so-and-so. And I'm like, she's had 3 jobs in 3 years. Have you called the people she worked for? And she's like, no, but you should see her resume. And I'm like, and I happen to know the person. And I'm like, don't do it.
Or just hiring people that I like. And I'm like, oh, you have a talent, you have a skill. Okay, let me put you here. And then not having proven talent. So in my quest to give people opportunities, I'm not actually looking to see if they are proven talent in this range. And then my biggest failure was not understanding my own culture and what I was trying to build. I had it all in my head, but I didn't have it on paper. And then you think that you hire somebody that you like, that they're also on brand and in culture, and you don't find out until later that they're not. And that is the single biggest failure that I've had in all of the failures that I've had in 10 plus years. It's that, like, hire for culture first.
And that kind of came to fruition. Like, it wasn't just one, like, tell us about your changes on your team this year.
Yeah, so mutiny is always a good time if you're a pirate, and turns out I'm not. But
your lines are like my favorite things. I'm gonna quote them all.
Awesome. You know, I really lost faith in myself as a leader because, and I've said this 1,000 times, and this should be one of the one-liners, but I have imposter syndrome. My whole life, I have tripped and fallen forward into success because I put the pieces together, and I didn't know that about myself. And so suddenly finding myself in success, I felt like somebody was going to find me out at any moment because I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just doing the next right thing. And, you know, sometimes it's the next wrong thing. And so again, I forgot the question I was answering.
About what happened with your team earlier.
Oh yeah, thank you.
In the team.
Hi, I'm back, squirrel. So I was putting people in places of leadership because I liked them. I thought they had talent, you know, see the last comment that I made. And though there were warning signs, I didn't address them at the time. And I didn't take a leadership role. I really deferred to them. And that was my failure. I didn't find out what was broken until they decided to up and leave together, which is so fun to have a Gary Keller moment in the middle of a pandemic, and switching brokerages at the same time. We switched franchises. That was that was great. It was a really fun couple of weekends. But it was a gift because I liked them, because they were my friends. Even though there were things that I wished were different, I never would have let them go. So when they walked out and I had to take control of my business again, and I was looking under the hood, and I said, oh gosh, I had no idea. I thought my organization was something entirely different. And so then I took a look at it. I kind of put it back together. I recruited, I hired people, and I was way more intentional because I knew what I was doing. And I had Brandi by my side, and together I knew we were a good cultural fit. So we just kind of went forward and said, okay, this is what we're going to do. And when I put it back together, I should say we, not I, we put it back together, it felt right. There weren't these constant underlying struggles. It was, we're just marching in the same path. But that sucks.
I love that you said that we did that, because I think that's so important. That yes, you are the leader with the vision, but the execution of culture and the execution of building this new team happens together. And I feel like the integrator has such an important role in that. Brandi, what was it like for you to come onto a team and then a year later, all of a sudden, it's blowing up? Like, did you think about leaving? Were you like, did this reinforce staying? Like, what was that experience like?
It was uncomfortable just because of the chaos of it and the uncertainty, but it was like a day where we were like, this sucks. And then the next day we were like, all right, we've got work to do. Like, it just reaffirmed that I'm where I want to be. Kristen and I have great culture together, and I could see that we could grow from it. It was going to be quite the process to grow from it, but I mean, I really do feel like we didn't skip a beat, and we just woke up the next day and just got to work again.
So what kind of changes did you guys have? Because we hear people talk about the C word all the time, culture, culture, culture. It's the big, right, talk. We did a whole mastermind last week on it. What kind of changes did you guys like practically make? What did that look like? So your hiring process maybe was a little different. You asked maybe different questions. Like, how does it look now that's different concretely?
I think we were really purposeful in paying attention to personalities when we were going through interview process.
We dug hard into that disc. Because it became really clear how we work together and why the personality styles were not meshing. So I'm a DI, our DOO was an IS. No, S, yes, IS, SC, IS.
I think IS.
IS, it's not a good match. It's not right or wrong. It's just, I constantly had to lean into a place of leadership that I was really like above my pay grade. Like I just wasn't good at it at all. And the other thing about specific personality types and my personality type, not everyone's comfortable following a leader that has unicorn hair, by the way. Some people are just really embarrassed about that. This is legit. And so it helps me screen applicants now that I look like this and not the headshot that you guys saw in the advertisement, because that's actually what I looked at. Now the joke is, this is my full disclosure haircut. If you don't know what's coming at you by the time I'm 3 feet away, I can't help you. Like I have screamed it. But before, I played the part of like the consummate professional, and then, deep down, I just have this like crazy personality. And there's a lot of chaos that happens with my kind of personality. And so people who really respect structure and organization can have a hard time respecting the beautiful mind, right? The organized chaos.
So what is it about Brandi that works then with your behavioral profile? Like, what's the yin and the yang there?
I think you should probably ask her, but from my perspective, because she can see like this spaghetti on the wall and make sense of it, she knows where I'm going. I don't have to draw it out for her. She just gets it. And so then she's able to derive the structure from there and say, okay, I get it. I'll work on that.
How did you know that she was going to be that way before she started with you? What was it during that previous? Was it just was it luck that this happened, or did you really? Okay.
I mean,
Well, no. I definitely knew there was something there because Brandi's very humble as well. She actually was one of the first people to create an empire in Stella and Dot. So she had already done some pretty badassery on her own. So I knew that there was talent there, and it was kind of latent. She wasn't using it in that way currently, but I knew she could. And then she had all of this, structure and organization. She likes lists. Like, she probably has her notebook here. Lists, they're so pretty. And she likes checklists, and she likes to be efficient and all those things I like about her. But I think you should ask her.
Yeah, so my personality, I'm a DIC, so I get along really well. I can see the big picture, so I totally understand the chaos that she's throwing, but then there's a little part of me that needs to organize it. Okay, I see where we're going. There's just quite a few things you're not thinking of. And here's a list of those things. And so I think that it's really long. So I think that's how we make it work.
Yeah, this is how I work. Can you see this? It's on the back of my kid's drawing, and it's just scribble scrabble. And I'll take a picture of it and send it to her.
Yes. Well, and that's awesome. On the back of envelopes and all the things, right? We all do the same things.
Napkins.
I love the Stella and Dot piece, though, because I think that's a really fascinating, interesting thing, because I see a lot of people come in on the ops side from corporate America that struggle to come onto real estate teams because we're not corporate and there is no structure and it's all chaos. And so the fact that you had some entrepreneurial background, I think, is really helpful to coming into this world.
It was really helpful. And I had no idea that real estate was so entrepreneurial. So when I got a look into it, I was like, oh, this is very familiar to me.
Well, so really quickly too, just to backtrack a little bit. So when the team walked out in April, Brandi, I know that it didn't give you pause about being with Kristen, which is awesome, but what were the things being said? What did you guys need to change, or did you not need to change anything? And it really was just, they didn't fit what we're building.
I don't know. It's such a blur. It was fast and furious. Yeah. I think we just really saw where the gaps were, and we just either started doing those things ourselves. There was a lot of that, of wearing multiple hats for a long time, and I think we're still doing a little bit of that. And then hiring for the critical people that we needed.
And we waited. So instead of doing what I would normally do, which is plug the hole, find that person and stick them in. And I did have those moments too, right? I needed a director of operations. I needed a senior buyer agent or a director of sales. And I had moments when I was like, I'm going to stick Brandi in this role because Brandi's amazing and I trust her and she's organized, and let's stick her in the director of ops. And, I have 2 coaches in my life. And so my coaches were like, the hell you will. Sit down. And I was like, okay. And I was able to sort of think for a beat, and Brandi did the same thing. Her brain went the same place and was like, no, I think I'd like to do this. And we held off and said, no, let's interview a bunch of people. Let's commit to this career visioning process. Let's look at the job description. Let's map it out. Let's look at the opportunity chart. And now that it's been about 6 months, and she's like, oh, thank God. Thank God I didn't do that.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah. And so, we've got a different career path for her, and we have a director of operations we just hired about a month ago. And we hired a director of sales pretty quickly after that. But we were able to really know what we were recruiting for. And that's where we really dug into the culture, because when mutiny happens, it happens for a reason, right? There's a big schism in the culture. Right. And we were able to say, well, here's us. And here's why this team didn't work. And more power to them. They're similar personality styles. They can go do that and hopefully be really successful together. And we're this side. And so we're going to recruit to that. and our values and our vision align. And it's a lot easier. It's just, there's not as many obstacles. You don't have to like stop and deal with drama or emotions, or like, we don't do emotions on our team. We're like, I'm sorry, we have business to do. Like, did you need something? Okay.
I love that you took time, because you can't have clear vision without time. If you had clear vision, you wouldn't have had the schism. I can never say that word. You wouldn't have had the mutiny in the first place, because your vision would have been clear and you would have seen it coming. But you have to take that time. And I love that you took the time to take the ownership to see what you needed to do versus projecting it out of what they were doing. I think a lot of teams skip that spot. So that's awesome.
Well, and that's also, I mentioned it earlier, is it a referendum on my leadership, right? That feeling sucks when half your team, it wasn't half, it was 30% of my team walks out. And it was a positive parting of the ways at that time. So it was like, I don't get it. Is it me? And it always makes you feel like it's me. And it's really hard to lean into leadership when somebody's leaving you and saying, I don't want to follow you anymore. So that was difficult, but at the same time, that was the lesson that I needed to learn, that there's a certain type of person that's going to follow me, and it's going to make us that much better. I'm not going to be dragging them, but behind my car bumper, right? They're going to be sitting in the passenger seat next to me in my rocket ship, not being pulled along. And that's the difference. So I really leaned into the confidence there. Who am I as a leader? Who are we as an organization? And it really became a we. One of our agents, it was really tough. Like, the first person left and they went off to be solo. And then the second person left and said, well, I'm new and she was training me and I don't feel comfortable without her, so I'm going to go with my security blanket. And the third person left 2 weeks later and was like, well, I saw an opportunity. I'm going to go like build their rocket ship, because I think I fit better over there. And I was like, okay, like
we were like, anyone else?
Yeah. So it was really hard.
Yeah, now.
2 weeks later to have the third person say, I'm leaving and we're building a team together. Like, we're not just leaving, we are going to, we're making a club. So I said to the team, like, I hope that this is the last time we have to have this conversation, but like, anyone else? Because there's the door. I hope you stay, but by all means, if you want to go, please go. And one of my agents at the time, and she's still with us and she's wonderful, she showed up at my door later that day, and she had treats that she knows that I love on my doorstep with a card. And she rang my doorbell. And when I answered the door, because it's also in the age of COVID, she was in my walkway with her phone and a picture of John Cusack holding her phone up, blaring music. And she was like, leader, my leader, or captain, my captain. So it was like merging of the movies and the two movies. Yeah, it was like, oh, my fearless leader. And I lost it. So it was like, that's the culture. That's it.
And if that, it's so crazy. We could almost end it right there, because it's like, my God, so many people, including myself, have like gone through this where it's like, gosh, like, I feel like I did so much for them, and I did all the things, but to see that come back, with the people that are, I'm going to say left, but in a really fabulous way, they're left to be with you, now they rise, and it's this really cool moment, or it can be this really cool moment of like, oh, I'm not the worst leader ever. People do want to follow me, and like, let's do this together. Let's be partners,
I think that's a really imperative moment, because it's when the I became the we, right? Mm-hmm. Before, it felt lonely. It felt like I was abandoned and I was always the bad guy. And it was like, well, you're the boss, and and it just felt so lonely. Yeah. And so whenever I would talk, it was I. And I would hear them sort of say, like, why don't you give people credit or whatever? It's like, it's not that I'm not giving people credit. It's that when we're talking, you're leaving me here up at the top. And I hate that. I want to be on a team. I'm an extrovert. And so when that happened, it really truly became the we, because everybody who was remaining was like, I'm here for it. Let's go. And everyone dug in. They're like, yes, we're going to go do this. And then we added and we built. and we're still building and we're still failing and we're still succeeding and all of the things. And that's when I felt that we were truly a we.
And that's when the acceleration happens. That's when your numbers just went.
They took off in the middle of a pandemic and a mutiny. They went crazy and they're still going crazy.
Yeah. And it's always hard, I think, to be a leader. And when you're with the right team, even though it's hard and challenging and you have, all of the things, it's super fun too. Like, I think you guys are probably having so much more fun now at the same time as your business is going crazy.
Even when it's a hard day, we're having a good time. Like, today was a hard day. I'm not going to lie. Today was hard. This week has been really hard. And she showed up and she's like, I'm going to be there early. Let's go to lunch. Like, stop cleaning your house like a mad woman and, working off your frustration. Let's just go talk it out. And she said, I showed up here so that you could talk it out.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
That's so good. Well, and so I know that you guys give back a ton, but can you walk us through, like, what did your mission and vision become? Like, what are you building together? What does that look like?
I think being able to articulate that is also a product of who we are now. So, and we start our morning call every morning as a team with always, because we're completely virtual. And that, I think that's really important because it's difficult to gauge and build culture if you're virtual, and some people really struggle with that, but we have always been virtual. So our mission, our vision is a world without worry for food, water, warmth, and rest. And we accomplish that by going after our mission to increase our clients' wealth, resources, and opportunities through real estate to create a legacy of global giving. So we all know where our rocket ship is pointed and what we're going to do with it, because money is only good as what you do with it, right? For the good that it can do. And so when we're building out our business plan, we are saying this is how we're tying our 4 pillars: food, water, warmth, and rest into our business. So we don't want the people who are just here for a huge paycheck, right? We want people who are service-minded, and we really dig into that during the career visioning. So if they say, I want a statue of myself in the square, we're like, you're not our people. If you want to restore the village because the village needs to be restored, you're our people. So we make sure that we are paying attention to that in the hiring process and then in the execution of our business. So actually we just did this yesterday. I want to talk about our 4 pillars. Yeah.
So for food, we're doing it. We support our local community. It's very food insecure in some of the areas. So we're thinking of ideas of partnering with our client events, having people, support the local food bank, bringing a can of item, things like that. For water, we've partnered with other real estate teams and give to Generosity Global to support clean water in Africa. And then for warmth, we support the Arlington Clothesline, which gives newer clothes to underprivileged children in our community. And for rest, we support some local veteran organizations to help vets who are suffering from PTSD and homelessness.
So what does that look like on your team? Because you guys are very clear on your mission and vision. How are you bringing that alive on a daily, weekly, monthly basis with your team? Like, what does that look like?
So we just mapped it out so that there is a clear line and we know when we have time to do that. Before we were sort of sprinkling our charitable contributions, and this past year we really were able to channel that and focus it so we could see the impact of what we're doing. So we engage our clients, we donate on behalf of them, then we engage our clients to also reciprocate. And then we have natural farming activities and business development type of events. And we always turn those into fundraisers as well. So we're engaging the community into participating with us. So when we do a big Halloween event, then people are bringing bags of clothes or canned goods to support the community. If it's veteran support, then the agents are going out and either doing acts of service or doing fundraisers, depending on what the charity arm is doing. and we're supporting them. We have homeless shelters. We were doing virtual bingo night with families in the age of COVID. You couldn't actually go and entertain, so we did by Zoom. We would drop off treats for them, and then we would come back and do bingo. And so we're just always trying to engage and inspire, in addition to specific fundraisers like Generosity Global. We did the Messy Middle Mastermind fundraiser. Then we did the Funders Circle for Generosity Global, so that we're one of the chief funders for their operating expenses. And then we're turning around and asking our clients, not only donating on their behalf, but asking if they want to join us. And then there's Mission Ball. So we're raising funds right now for Mission Ball. I just got conned into running a half marathon in April, which I'm really upset about. I agreed to do it if we could raise money. So in every single thing we do, if it's a client event, if it's a promo, if it's something fun, we're also tying in that charitable arm.
And how has your clientele responded to that?
I think that they think that our halos are really shiny. Sometimes I worry about that because people say, God, like, you guys are saints, you're the best humans ever. And I'm like, I think maybe you haven't seen something I have to offer. Yeah.
Interesting is actually that you've invited your clients to do it with you, that you're not just the angels flying around with your halos, but they're actually, you're giving them an opportunity.
And we're making it easy for them, which, you know, right now everyone has so much going on, and the easier we can make it. And then I think also what's important is tying the result to it. People want that immediate satisfaction. And so we're able to show them, hey, this is how many kids we clothed. This is how many families we fed. This is how many people had clean water. This is how many tampons and pads we collected for the women in Africa who don't have it, who can now go to school. So we're reporting back and measuring our impact, which is why I get out of bed every day, is to create opportunity for, you know, the military spouses or for the kids in Africa. Or it's very cliche, but when you live that way and you understand that money isn't going to make you happy, it's what you do with it. And that a lot of our clients are really happy to do business with us because they know we're not just a shady realtor. You know, we're out there really trying to change the community in every single thing that we do. Even in our design build arm, we're saving houses from developers who are mowing them down and building giant monstrosities on the whole lot. We're saying, nope, we're going to save this house. We're going to preserve the character and the charm, and we're going to make it an affordable house for someone to buy and live in this area. Christy, you know how crazy our housing prices are here. So, you know, we really do walk the walk, and we care about people in the community, and we are part of the community. Our tagline, in fact, is your legacy, our community invested. And we believe strongly in that.
Are you finding that that's attracting people to join your team too? That either, I could see it both ways. One way would be like, I want to do something like this and I don't know how to do it, but if I join this team, I can have impact too. Or people who actually have already been living lives of service saying, oh, that matches and that aligns with who I am, so I need to partner with them. Are you seeing that?
I think so. I think people love being a part of something bigger, a bigger impact.
Yeah.
And so between the authenticity and the service, because we as a team, it's not just me, but we as a team are like, here's all the things. We have like dirty laundry or, you know, whatever our struggles are. And we lead with that in our interviews or whatever masterminds or classes we're teaching. That's pretty much the face that we put forward. And so fortunately, because we are so transparent about that, those are the people that we're attracting. And it's so exciting. You saw me like get really excited when you asked that question, because we are absolutely attracting that kind of talent. And it's getting so much easier now to recruit because they're coming to us. We're not chasing people down. They're coming to us and they're like, I want to be part of that. That sings to me.
Were the people that left, just out of curiosity, were they tied to this mission as well, or? Yeah.
Nope. It was not something that they were particularly passionate about. And I can tell based on, you know, who's engaging. I think it was this is a thing we're doing, but it wasn't, you know, when somebody really buys into it.
Yeah.
And that's okay, right? Like it's
Totally.
not right or wrong. Everyone has their thing. I think that you can try to be a chameleon for about 2 years. And after that, I know because I was engaged, and then it all fell apart. And you just can't pretend, or you don't want to beyond that. And so we're trying to shortcut that now, this like, dating period and engagement period with the career visioning process. And it's just gotten so much easier because we're knowing who we are. I know who I am as a leader. We're asking people if they don't know who they are during the process. We're really digging into that. And they're like, I don't know where I want to be in 5 years. We said, well, here's a book.
Yeah, Kristen makes them read a book now.
What book?
5.
Oh.
It's an easy one, and it's just like you just haven't thought about it hard enough. You need to go spend some time with yourself and think about it. And especially if you're younger, you can't see the world as big as it is because you haven't experienced it. So you have to really sit down for a while, and it can be like pulling teeth. But so we look back and we look forward, and I think people don't spend enough time doing that, so we force them to. And if they get impatient with that, we're like, okay,
That's great.
yeah.
So then you find out really fast, are they entrepreneurial or are they willing to go beyond their natural to become purposeful? If they're willing to read the book, that's a purposeful action. So I love that as a measure.
Yeah, I think there's some other probably traps we put them into, but I can't divulge that, or I give up the keys to the kingdom. Everyone will know how to pass the test.
There you go. Well, so it would be ridiculous for us to not ask you what kind of communication. I know we're going to change while we have like 9 minutes left. What kind of communication issues have you guys had? Have there been any? How did you overcome them? That is one of the things that most of the people that watch, they always want to hear about because they have those communication problems and sometimes they don't know how to get through it.
Like, have you guys ever had a blow up or a disagreement, or is it like rainbows and unicorns from day one? Besides the hair.
No. I think with the team that we had before, there was a middleman between us. And so while we had a direct connection every day with the tasks at hand, there was some back channeling. And so some of the, if she's anxious or overwhelmed or frustrated, she'll say it. But it was being interpreted as a larger problem rather than with our personalities. It's like, you got to just vent and then you're done and you move on. And it's not a lingering thing where you're building resentment. So that became a lot clearer as well when it was just the two of us and we were, picking ourselves up by our bootstraps. But she's really, really easy to say, I'm overwhelmed. I have too much. I can't do that today. And I'd like to think I've given you permission to do that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Mm-hmm. You say something yourself.
No, it's great. And I feel really comfortable coming to Kristen and like, this isn't working. Like, we need to solve for this. Or this is a problem right over here. Like, we need to figure this out.
Yeah.
And I just have to, she's been really good now. We've set up like twice a day where she's available so I can pick up the phone and call her. Before it was like trying to track her down,
I was going to ask that because that's one of the biggest complaints we get from people with rainmakers and DOOs. So how did you hold her accountable and say, I need to have you 2 times a day for 15 minutes or whatever? How did that come about?
Yeah, I think I did.
We like to call it nailing my fins to the floor.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
But it's also, she sees it's more streamlined if I can just get her for 15 minutes, like first thing in the morning and then, before the end of the day.
It's on my calendar now. So we have our team call at 8:30. We're usually done by like 8:40. And then I have her on my calendar until 9:30. We're just on the phone doing whatever it is that we do. And now, we're sitting in my office and I'm starting to put together so that we can have a couple of days during the week that we just sit next to each other and work and get it done. But she's also there at like 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. If we had to, she's there. And if that's the time that we can get together, then that's the time that we get together. But we really try, like today's our day off. We both took off today because we're like, we're done.
Yeah,
we're not
taking the day off. Yeah.
We'll see. And I think I love that, like, you guys are willing to do that though, and dig in and have talks at night or whatever. Because sometimes your day does, like, as a rainmaker, it just goes and goes and goes, and you go to the person that's screaming the loudest at you, right? And I think, you know, the operational person on the other side of us is like, they just don't get why we wouldn't be checking in, or like, why aren't we making time? And they feel this certain way about it. And I always try to explain to people, you guys, it's not that they're not trying or that they don't care. They're literally going to the person who's screaming the loudest. And so I always tell people to put two little time blocks in place, because if you have that, then you're good. But let's just talk about what also happens is, a lot of times it's really easy for somebody like you, Kristen, to just blow through that time. If something else does come up, they blow through that time. Do you guys protect it no matter what now, or what does that look like?
I think we are pretty good at protecting it. I mean, I manage her calendar too. So I see, I mean, her day is completely maxed out. So I know that she's not blowing me off. Like, I can see she's in a meeting. She's probably talking to a client. I mean, her day's crazy. So, and she knows that I'm going to keep calling and texting her until I get my answer. So.
And she's not offended by that.
No.
Not at all. You know, in fact, it's such a comfort when my day is so scripted that I know that she's holding the fort. And some days I wonder how the heck I ever did it before she was here, because she has a full-time job and then some, and so do I. And it used to be just me doing it, or me and other cast of characters. I'm like, how did we, it's been a long year this week. I don't know. Like, she's incredible. She's always the first to show up. She's the last to leave. She never has her hand out. She just says, we have to do this. This has to be done. That's it. And I trust that she's there catching. So if I'm out in meetings doing whatever it is that I'm doing, that she's holding the fort, and whatever decision she's making, it's going to be just as good as the one I was going to make, if not better.
Brandi, how long did it take for you to find your voice to do that?
I have no idea.
I definitely remember we had a conversation when you were there, maybe 6 months, and I was like, how long have you been with us now, Brandi? A year? Has it been a year? And she's like, it's been 4 months.
It was pretty quick, I think.
Yeah, it was a very natural synergy. And so it really started getting loud when we would start saying the same thing at the same time. And it kept happening. And it was like, so she shows up today in a pink shirt, and I was like, get out of my head. Like, it's a scary place to be. You may not always want to be there, but she lives there.
But I think you said at the beginning, or Brandi said at the beginning, I think you invited her into your head by being so transparent up front and sharing everything with her from the beginning, so that she wasn't just learning how to do things, she was learning how to think like you. And I think that's a step a lot of people miss.
We do that with our buyer agents too. I think context is really important, and that's how I was given my steps up in life. Is someone opened the kimono and said, here's why we do this, not just how. It's not steps 1, 2, 3, here's why. And if you give them the why, they'll figure it out for themselves, the how.
Yep, 100%. Did you guys say how people, you said that they can send you referrals, but where do they find you? Do you want to give a website or an email or whatever?
Yes. So we are on Facebook as Kristen KFT Francis, I think. Our website is dcnovarealty.com and kftcares.com. If you're interested in knowing what we do for charity, it's all in there. And you can send us referrals definitely by Facebook or email. I'm Kristen at kfteams.com, and I'll put that in the comments after you guys post it.
Good. And put your mission ball. Are you competing with John and Sheena on the mission ball fundraising?
I'm on the sly. Like, they're going at it publicly, and they don't know what I have going on in the background. So I'm tired of being third man, and I'm coming for them.
All right. So we'll make sure to put the link in the comments if you guys want to make a donation to thank these ladies for being with us today.
$40 will feed an entire village, but we'll bring clean water for years and years and years to come. So, like, just a couple of Starbucks, $40 is all we ask.
Love it.
Awesome.
Guys, thank you so much for giving us your time and for being so transparent and just allowing us to see how awesome you are together. And, you know, we know that you'll be together for a long time. I'm sure people will reach out, but we're very thankful for the time that you gave us. We know it was your day off, so thank you.
We really are terrible at the day off, but we like to say, you know what, we really enjoy it. Like we'll get together and we'll talk about work. And we'll be like, we have to stop talking about work. Anyway, so about work, we just love it. Like this is life and we're in it together. And we're so honored to be part of your interview. Thanks again for even
You
asking.
guys are like the husband and wife that go out on their first date and all they do is talk about their kids. Like it's the same thing. If you're passionate and you're in love with, then it's all awesome. So go enjoy talking about work this afternoon.
You guys are awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.